In this lesson, students, we're going to analyze how to factorize trinomials. First of all, what is a trinomial? A trinomial is an expression made up of three terms, a term in x squared, a term in x, and a constant. So it's made up in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, a term in x squared, a term in x, and a constant. Now, the method we're going to use is to start with a trinomial. That trinomial is then subdivided into four terms. Then we're going to use grouping to factorize those terms, and we'll end up with a factorized expression. I'm going to explain the first one. I'm going to write down the steps I'm using. Then we'll work out a few examples. So, for example, let's factorize the first one. Let's factorize 3x squared plus 10x plus 8. So, the method is this one. First, multiply determine x squared by the constant. So, step number one, I'm going to multiply determine x squared by the constant. So in this case, I have 3x squared times 8. That gives me 24x squared. That's the first step. Second step is find two factors of your answer, which when added or subtracting, depending on the sign in front of the constant, will give you the term in x. So find two factors of the answer to part 1, to step 1, which when added or subtracting depending on sign in front of constant. So is in front of the constant you have a positive, you will add. If it's a negative, you will subtract. So find two factors of answer to step 1, which when it does subtracting depending on the answer on the sign in front of the constant, give the term in x. So our answer was 24x squared. Two factors of 24x squared are 6 and 4. 6x multiplied by 4x give me 24x squared. But most important, 6x plus 4x give me 10x. So what am I going to do? I am going to change 10x by 6x plus 4x. Our expression will not change. So I have now 3x squared. Instead of 10x, I'm going to write plus 6x plus 4x plus 8. Now, I'm going to do grouping. So step number 3. Use grouping to factorize. So I'm going to use grouping. I'm going to group the first two and the last two. Grouping the first two, I get 3x as a common factor, leaving x plus 2. 4 common factor, leaving also x plus 2. So I have x plus 2 into 3x plus 4. And that is my final result. So let me explain again. Alright, step number 1, we multiplied determine x squared by the constant. Step number 2, we found two factors of the multiplication of the answer to step 1, which when added, because here we had a plus, if that was a minus, we'll see examples now soon. If that was a minus, I would have subtracted. So we added those two, the two factors which gave me the term in x. And then I substituted instead of the term in x, I wrote those two factors which I had just found. So that is the first example. Those are the steps which I'm going to use to work out the other problems. So let's see another example. Factorize 8x squared plus 18x minus 5. Alright? So I'm going to use those steps again. So I'll start by multiplying determine x squared by determine x. That gives me 40x squared. Now I'm going to find two factors of 40, which when subtracted this time, because I have a minus, they give me 18x, and that's 20 minus 2. So it's 20x minus 2x. Remember, 20 times 2 is 40. Okay? So instead of 18x, I'm going to write 20x minus 2x. So I have 8x squared plus 20x minus 2x minus 5. Now I'm going to grouping as usual now. You should be familiar with this now. Grouping the first two, I get 4x as a common factor into 2x plus 5. Minus 1, I'm going to take out a common factor of minus 1 so that the brackets will be the same, 2x plus 5. So now I have 2x plus 5 into 4x minus 1, and that is my final result. Hope you're understanding. Let's do some other examples. Again, factorize 12x squared minus 11x plus 2. Alright? Slightly different than the other one. We'll see how. So, let's start. I'm going to multiply 12x squared plus 2 by 2. That gives me 24x squared. Two factors of 24, which when added give minus 11. Now, factors of 24, which when added give 11, are 8 and 3. 8x and 3x. When added, they give 11. But I need minus 11, so minus 8 minus 3 is minus 11. Okay, so that was the difference we had from the other two. Okay, remember, we are adding, those two. We are adding those two. So I get 12x squared minus 8x minus 3x plus 2. Take out the common factor from the first two, which is 4x, leaving 3x minus 2. Take out minus 1 so that I get the same brackets, leaving 3x minus 2. So it's 3x minus 2 into 4x minus 1. Hope it's slightly more clear now. Let's work out another example, final example. It should suffice. So factorize. For example, 10x squared plus 11xy minus 6y squared. This time I've placed more than one variable. It will not matter. It's not going to matter. We're still going to work out using the same method. So we'll start by multiplying that by that. Okay, so 10x squared multiplied by 6y squared gives me 60x squared y squared. Now I need to find two factors of 60x squared y squared, which when subtracted give 11xy. So they should be terms in xy. Okay, so factors of 60 which when subtracted give 11 are 15 and 4. 15 times 4 is 60. 15 minus 4 is 11. So I have 10x squared plus 15xy minus 4xy minus 6y squared. Taking out 5x as a common factor in the first two, I get 5x into 2x plus 3y. Taking out minus 2y as a common factor, I'm left with 2x plus 3y. Note that 2x plus 3y is again a common factor. So taking out 2x plus 3y, I'm left with 5x minus 2y. And that is the end of this topic. Hope you have understood for next lesson.